right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So before we get into the approval of the meeting minutes, we do have a proxy vote that we're going to vote in Tanya Agnew as a proxy for Randy Anderson from City Bus. So at this time, I would entertain a motion. Okay, and then a second?
Second.
Great. All right, so we have a motion from Dr. Fricker and a second from Mitch. With that, we'll just go ahead and do a vote by show of hands. All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, not opposed, the motion carries. So with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the first item of business, which is the approval of the meeting minutes from November 17th. Once again, I would entertain a motion to approve those unless there are any corrections. Okay, thank you, Scott.
Second.
Thank you, Mitch. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any need for further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and take a vote again. So all in favor of approving the meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, same sign. All right, none opposed, the motion carries. We'll go ahead and move on to our first item of business, which is the access permits. So I'll go ahead and turn that over to NDOT. Scott, do you have anything?
Microphone on. Try that. We have two active permits in Tippecanoe County. 151762, this is West Lafayette, Yeager Road. Very few comments from NDOT. That is moving forward quite nicely. I think it's just consistency in plans, things like that. And then the Domino's on State Road 38, 155575. I believe coordination, Jeremy, last month with you, and things are moving forward. Sidewalk connectivity, I believe we're working on that currently, but other than that, I think everything is good.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
What would the path forward be on that? All right, thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to the next item then, which is the APC progress report. So our first item is just kind of an update on where we're at with our Metropolitan Transportation Plan. So that is due for adoption in June of 2022. So we have staff members that are working on various different sections of this. A lot of what you're going to see in this is fairly similar to what we've done in the past with our long-range transportation plans. Probably the newest things that you're going to see are we are working on getting in a much bigger sustainability and resilience section. So we have a couple of environmental engineers on staff, people with that background. So they've been hard at work on really kind of increasing that section, which we're looking to kind of add going forward. So that's probably going to be the biggest individual change, as well as we're starting to put in a little bit more information about future anticipated technologies such as autonomous vehicles, electric vehicles, other types of low emission fuel vehicles. Some of that, though, is still pretty preliminary, and we'll kind of have to see maybe where some of the legislation goes on that, and that'll kind of show up more in future plans. But we wanted to kind of at least touch on those subjects so that if and when those become more relevant for future plans, we can already have at least kind of a placeholder section in there. So you'll see that. And then kind of the other thing that we're working on right now with the local government engineers would be putting together the financially constrained project lists. So I have reached out to our contacts at INDOT to try to talk to them and coordinate with them as well to make sure that their projects are in, as well as that we get their blessing on our method for financially constraining the project list. So I haven't heard back from them yet, but I'm going to continue contacting them until I do. So local government engineers, just be on the lookout for some more information about that once I get it. All right, any questions on that item before we move on to the next one? Okay, hearing none, I'll go ahead and move on to the next item, which is the 2022 safety performance measures. So this is what's displayed on screen. These are INDOT's safety performance measure targets, and as we've done in the past, we're going to be just concurring with these. We're not going to try to go out and set our own. We're going to concur with these and support them through a letter of support, which we will be putting together next month after our policy board reviews them and passes a resolution to approve them. So this is just the same process that we've used in the past for this. So we're kind of just bringing this to you as an informational item. Again, these are their targets, and we're going to adopt them. We have also been trying to find out some information about some of the other performance measures that they have for other items such as travel time, reliability, and so on, but we haven't had a lot of success in finding out about that. The safety performance measures have been brought to the statewide MPO council, so we do know that that's in the pipeline, but we just haven't had as much information, I guess I should say, about the other types of performance measures. So I don't know if you know anything about that, Scott, or if that's not something you really handle.
I don't handle that. Is it, are you having luck, you think, talking to the right people, or is it that there isn't information that's being delivered back to you?
Well, I'm not totally confident that there is information. It's just, these are the same channels we've gone through in the past for this. It's just hard to find out where things stand with this, which, I understand that in some of those departments at INDOT, they've had a lot of staffing turnover and problems kind of maintaining a full staff level. So I suspect that may be part of the issue. Okay. All right. Well, we'll keep plugging away at that. And if and when we hear from INDOT that we need to adopt some more performance measures, we'll deal with that at the time such as is appropriate. Any questions on this before we move on to the next item? Okay, well, hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Doug, and he will give us some information about the STIP adoption. Okay, then we'll go ahead and move on to the next item, which is the 18-month letting list. Doug, if I could actually have you move over to one of the stations with a microphone, the stream was having some problems picking you up.
So if I stand back here, is that okay? Gosh, I feel like a teacher lecturing now. In your packet, you received the 18-month letting list. And if you look on the list, both 3 pages, you'll see there's not been very many changes. I mean, I'll first point out Project 23, which is the Sagamore Parkway Trail, and then Project 24, I-65 concrete pavement restoration at the State Road 38 interchange. Those projects have been moved back. We had previously discussed that the Sagamore Parkway Trail was going to move back to the March letting, so no surprise there. And then likewise for the State Road 38 interchange project, that was moved back because of the work on State Road 38 east of Dayton. Kind of didn't want to start that project since I-65 is the detour route to get around State Road 38, so they felt best to not start that work. But looking at projects, first off, if we look at the projects that were on the November letting on the last page, the first project, a bridge replacement on US 52. As you can see the information, the engineer's estimate was a pinch over $6.5 million. 3 bids were submitted, and the low bid was the ICC group for just under $6 million. And that project's completion date is September 30th of 2023. The next 2 projects, the first one is a bridge maintenance project. Unfortunately, there was only 1 bid submitted, and that was rejected because it was over the engineer's estimate. So that is going to be re-advertised at a later date. I don't have that date, couldn't find it even this morning. And then the big project, get your magic 8-ball out, because the bids were also above the engineer's estimate. And if you kind of look at both bids, Milestone and Walsh, look how close they are. 102 million and then 31,000, and then Walsh 102 million 441,000. So in a big project like this, actually those bids are pretty close. So I guess stay tuned for more information. I assume it's probably going to be relet for construction, whether it be January or February. I don't know. I couldn't find any information online today. And then also, since we're now past December 8th, they did have their bid letting, and the projects on State Road 38, there are 3 of those. Unfortunately, those bids were above the engineer's estimate, so those will be rebid on the February 9th bid letting. And then the other project on State Road 226, it looks like that project is a go. I didn't write the information down, but it looks like the bids were below the engineer's estimate. So not much to report for this month, and those are the highlights. Any questions or comments? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Doug. So with that, we're going to go ahead and move into the next section of other business, and all we have under there is just the meeting dates for 2022. So I'm not going to go through them all, but our next meeting will be on January 19th. So January 19th, 2 p.m., and it will still be here. So any questions on that? All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next section then, which is citizen comments. We will go ahead and wait a minute or so to see if any comments have come in through Facebook or YouTube. We usually don't get too many of those, but we'll go ahead and just wait a minute or so and see if we hear anything from our tech folks in the back.
Since we're waiting, I just thought of something to pass along. reported earlier this year that NDOT was going to be doing their coverage counts for Tippecanoe County, and they were going to begin either September or October. Well, unfortunately, if you noticed, those haven't started. So those are supposed to start, the last I heard, sometime in February. So you'll see a lot of people, well, I wouldn't know a lot of people, but you'll see a lot of tube counters pop up all over both cities and the county starting probably next February. So that's what they're for. So just an FYI.
All right, and I did just hear from our tech folks that there are no comments, so we can go ahead and move on to our next item, which would be adjournment. So unless there are any other items of business, I guess maybe we'll go ahead and just double check and see if there are any other items of business that anyone on the board wants to bring up before we adjourn. All right, well, not hearing any, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, and second?
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you on the 19th.